People ask me all the time, what's in the toolbox? I needed a roll around cart. Is it overkill? For me, no. Everything in my box, unless I say is Snap-on, so I'm not gonna say Snap-on 500 times. Snap-on, Snap-on, Snap-on. Well, nothing really special except for, so I did some stints in the UK, and these are the Snap-on Euro tools. Those are pretty cool. Whatever. Bottom drawer. Piston ring compressors. I don't use those a whole lot. I'll only do it if I'm in car. I have all the Waseco ones. I use those. My AC gauges, master ball joint kit, brake bleeder bottle, manifold. This is long star kit, and this is another freeze plug installer. So we don't do a lot of freeze plug stuff here, but on the Porsche, there are some plugs that you have to gain access to that we take out and replace. This one's heavy. This is the master bushing driver kit here. That one's heavy. Probably should take that out of that blow molded case and I'll be able to get some more room. This is my engine vac. Little Snap-on engine vac. That thing works really good. Wrench extender. This is one of those tools that I hardly ever use. Just don't do a lot of heavy stuff. But if you got like a really hard lug nut or something that somebody over torqued, sometimes you'll break that out, make that job a little easier. Keep spare seals and all this stuff for the vacuum gauges or the AC manifold gauges. This is brake fluid, so this is all the different adapters for brake fluid reservoir. I use the Malley machine, the automatic bleeder for all that, but in case you got something that's kicking your ass, you just grab that and do it manually. Some more RBRT stuff that doesn't fit up here. This is Matco. This is the wheel stud installer. It's a good kit. And the rethreaders, oil filter gauges, 8 blow molded cases. Forma funnel. If you don't have a Forma funnel, you should get one. Trust me. This doesn't fit up there, but this is the other brake pad spreader. And then what is this? This is my tire inflator, my stable power. I love this thing. I have the battery charger plus, but the stable power for LifePo batteries, which the battery charger plus doesn't do. I put this on a car as soon as I start working on it. Extra sockets and ceramic paste, and these are my how do you call these things? The suction cups for taking windows in and out. Those are coming super handy, especially quarter windows. This is the bad day drawer. So I don't come in here ever. I don't break a lot of studs or bolts or something, but I'm going to tell you one thing right now. If you're ever going to spend a lot of money on something, spend it in this drawer, because when that bad day comes, you want to have everything. So these are my file sets. So this is the half round files. These are the round files, needle files. These are not Snap-on. This is just this is Jippo, but just little needle files. But I don't even know what this is. Libertron, Amazon special. Drill jig for safety wires. Small files here, flat files there. These are really cool. These are actually really nice. So these are the SAE thread chasers, but these are basically for AC lines. So I have the metric ones and the standard ones. And this one's for the Porsche. So a lot of the older cars have, for the air conditioning lines, they're aluminum. So this is a quick, those threads get boogered up or some shop cross-threaded them or whatever. And this is a really handy kit. It even says Porsche on here because this is the 3/4 16 UNF for the Porsche one. This is a really handy kit to have around. for that one day where you got a cross threaded or just a burr on those threads. When a lot of people will over tighten them, so that's incredibly handy to have around. As are these. So 997 Porsche 997 coolant pipes. Getting those coolant pipes out. These are the extractors here. They're pipe extractors. So they'll just go in there, and when you rotate it out, this comes out around that edge, and you'll be able to spin those epoxied pipes in. We don't pin them, we weld them. So this is the master kit there. Bolt extractor set. How did I have these in here? And then I've got the spindle rethreader. This is really a handy piece of kit here for all the different spindles. And then I think Mac Tools, in my professional, humble opinion, is the older stuff is good, the new stuff is garbage. Sorry, it's just my professional opinion. But in terms of the RBRT game, they're number one. So I have every RBRT tool they make. Like I said, I think they're the best. This is the left-hand drill master set there. This is the vibrators, not the vibrators you're thinking of, but this is the vibrator. You put it in your impact gun if you got something that's really stuck. Not necessarily down here in Florida where I'm at, but my Chicago store, we do a lot of, it's the rust belt. So this is good for getting some of those rusted stuck fasteners out. You don't get that out very often, but when you need to, it's handy to have. Thread restore. This is the small. They don't make this kit anymore. This is the small tap and die set here, from I think 12 millimeter down. And then this one here is the big one, from I think 12 millimeter up. So this is all your big stuff. Don't use this a lot, but grab this for a lot of the engines. Like this one here is for the oil filter, not oil filter, but oil drain plug. So, but you got it. That's the most important thing, is you got it. The goal is to never have to open this drawer and go in it. And then these are my thread restorers. So these are really cool because it's got the thread file here, and then it's got the tap here. So these are handy to have. Just keep them oiled up. If you don't keep them oiled up, they rust. In case you guys haven't noticed, I'm incredibly anal about everything being clean. We'll get into that in a second. Drill bits. This is another handy screw extractor set here. Snap-on ones. These are cool. Typically try to use that one before anything else. What is this? This should be tap extractors. And then die grinders, thread file gauges, stuff like that. So, like I said, I don't go in this drawer hardly ever, but if you're gonna spend the money, spend it in that drawer. Hammers, pry bars. This is my go-to for brake rotors. Grab that thing, pound them off. Piston is my go-to on engines for pistons. Various hammers, pry bars, dust caps, old school. So I use these on the 911 air cooled, get the front dust caps off. I got two different ones. One's a little bit bigger. These are cool. This is Snap-on CGP10 USA, and this one's actually Mac, I believe. Yeah, this is an old school Mac, DC216. And then I got this is supposed to be up in that drawer, but I don't have enough room. This is the short anvil, and this is the long anvil for bearing race drivers. I usually use the long one, but I got both of them. Lady foots, pin punches, long drifts, bucking bar. I don't use pop rivets. I tend to use you know, solid rivets. These are my bucking bars for solid rivets. I think they grab better, and it's a better finished product. And then this is my air hammer for solid rivets. Gasket punch set, if you're making gaskets, it's a great piece. Matco, 79 PK. And then this is just a little, there's just a little various brass, you know, drift punches, different angles to them. This is old school. This is Mac SPP 5420. And then my air hammer. This is an amazing piece of kit. PH 3058. This is my favorite air hammer. I did upgrade. I had the older one. It was worn out. It was tired. And these are really essential. So these thread onto your ball joint nuts or your tie rod nuts. And basically what you do is you grab a pin here, you thread this on instead of using an old bolt, and then your pin goes in here. And that's in my opinion, the only way to air hammer off a tie rod. These are CTA tools. So CTA tools, that's a great piece of kit. Got my ball peen hammer. I think this is Mayhew. Yep, 3204. This is a good one. I don't ever use this. It's never been used. This is the Master Brass Drift Punch Set, but I don't use this little hammer. I usually just grab my snap-on. It's heavier. It's got a better, you know, it's got more oomph behind it. So I use that brass hammer. So I never use this, but I do use those brass drifts. And then I use this one quite a bit. This is for pounding out valve guides on the air-cooled Porsche heads. And then this long one is super handy to get in, you know, into tough spots, deep down inside something. So I think that's the Master air hammer collection. Oh, and I love this. This is also another one I use a lot. This is the 45-degree bent. You'd be amazed how much you use this pry bar here, and then how much you use this straight instead of using a flat blade screwdriver. So this is the MPB S10A. I use this a ton. This is always on my cart. And then this thing, I thought it was a gimmick when I went on a truck, and I ended up using this thing more than anything. It's crazy. That's about it for that drawer. And then in here, we have picks, cocaine spoons. Yep, that's what I call these. These are cocaine spoons. Just kidding. These are the seal pullers, but they do look like a cocaine spoon. I don't know if you guys have noticed or not, but I'm very, very particular that all of my stuff matches. So everything's got to match color-wise. Can't have anything that doesn't match. Just kidding, I don't care. You know, for me, it's as if it's on the truck and I need it, I just buy it. I don't care about colors matching. This is these are great. Don't buy the Snap-on ones. It's the exact same tool. You get it off Amazon. Before Snap-on picked it up, before they picked up that these were a thing, which was, you know, a couple years ago or a year or two ago, whenever it was. These have been around since before me. These are sheet metal tools, but they are fantastic for trim. So it's super thin, it's super strong, it won't mar anything up. So these are my go-to grabs for interior trim panels. Hood prop, and then Mueller cubes. These are okay, but they are weak. That's the one bad part about them. They are weak. You can see that one's bent. And I'm not like I'm out there using them on, you know, ball joints, but they're pretty weak. I do use their picks. This is their little pick set. I use that pick set pretty often. This is handy too. I don't even know who makes this. but this is a handy trim tool. This is another one that's handy. I have so many different little trim tools things. I mean, you just never know. Wedges, you know, getting something off. So I like to have a lot of the right stuff, and these are the non-marring trim tools, and I have the micro set as well. These are by far my favorite. These long guys, you know, they just have the perfect angle. They have the perfect angle for getting a lot of those Christmas tree fasteners up inside engine bay or on a gearbox or somewhere. Those are fantastic. And then I've never used this one. I just never use this. But this one I use a ton. Deep down inside an engine bay, you get on there, pop a hose off. That's great, as well as the short one. So these are both great for radiator stuff. And wire insertions, standard radiator picks, wire insertions, carbide scrapers, do a ton of engine work. So these are the Mueller cubes. I love these things. This is a dual direction, bi-directional carbide scraper. You can scrape this way and that way. They're fantastic. And then mirrors, my old school Snap-on carbon scrapers. These things have been through battle. And my Snap-on guy asked me, "You want to warranty these out?" I was like, "No way, buddy. These are OG." And then my old school Mac. These are cool. The flexible magnets. You know, get in there, pick something up. This is a really heavy magnet. So I have that old school, and then these are great too. These are the Snap-on. These are the Blue Points. GA51B. This is great because you can lock it in place. So you can pull it to whatever angle you want to and lock it in place. So I use that a lot. Like I said, I'm old and I can't see. Come on, get in there. Wrenches. What a mess this drawer is. I don't have a good solution for wrenches. Basic, you know, your basic, gear wrenches. These guys, I don't use these guys a ton. So these are the Flank Drive Plus, and these are the smooth jaw ones. So these don't have the teeth on them. These are the Blue Point ones. There's a significant difference between the Blue Point ratchet here and the Snap-on ratchet. There's a significant difference. This is so much finer, so much less drag. And then these are remember I had the Snap-on Euro. I had the Snap-on Euro speed wrenches up here. So this is the 13. So this is the Euro ones. You can see the head difference. It's so much smaller profile. So these are fantastic. I use these way more than I thought I would. So those are just fantastic. But it's just a different profile. And then back here I got my small offsets. This is a really old set, had forever. And I do have newer sets in here as well, but there's a significant profile difference. Where's the 18? And you can see this profile offset here. You can see it right there. I don't know if you can pick that up on camera, but the neck's different. It's a different shaped neck. And this is significantly beefier than the original old ones, but sometimes on, especially air-cooled Porsches, when you're trying to get in by the fan and get the engine tackle, the lifting tackle, you're trying to get that nut off, this is the only profile that'll get in there and properly bust it loose. So I got the old ones and the new ones. I'm a big fan of the right socket or right wrench with the right access, especially if you're in tight access. And then I have the S wrenches. These are great for turbos, along with the half moons. The half moons are great for turbochargers or exhaust. You get up in there, you hold that. I mean, there's no way you can be an air-cooled Porsche tech and not have those and have those. Or these, really, to be honest with you. And I got the 60-degree offsets. Especially the 19, this is great for alignment. It's about the only offset that'll get in and do the 997 behind the sway bar alignment. So this is about the only profile you can use to get in there and bust that, you know, and adjust that eccentric. Crow's feet, it's crow's feet. What are you gonna do? Thin wrenches. So I got all the way up to 36. These are fantastic for oil lines. And then I've got the distributor wrenches to get the distributors opened up. Little small, just Martin wrenches, 24s. This is a factory tool for I don't use it a whole lot. I use something different, but this is the factory tool to get into the exhaust on the heat exchangers, air-cooled Porsche. It's got a weird location for that lower exhaust stud, so use that. More distributor wrenches. Made this 996, 997 rear toe and camber. I basically just took this snap-on, which would be these guys here. I took it, welded in a piece of bar, and it's the perfect length to get on a ratchet to bust off save you a ton of time and aggravation to bust the jam nut off the rear eccentric. So if you want to save yourself a bunch of time on alignments, buy yourself one of those and make them, and they're pretty invaluable. Thin wrenches, I use these a ton. What else we got? We have short stubby. I use these a lot too. These little short stubby, incredibly fine ratchets. I use those. And then just a collection of miscellaneous, super small stuff, 5, 6, 4 millimeter. Like this is a 6 and a 7, and I got some 4s and 5s in there and whatever different. I use my 10 and 13 a lot. Grabbing other sides and nuts. It's perfect angle, it's 12 point. I use that a lot. These long wrenches, I use these a ton as well. 0 offset, they're fantastic. These are my most grabbed in engine work, fuel lines, stuff like that. These degree offset ones. I think it's 60 and 45 if I remember correctly, but these are fantastic for getting fuel lines off. And then the 12 is good for injectors. Cylinder number 1, it's good for getting the injector line off. That only works on cylinder 1. I got other tools to get the rest of them off. And then wrenches, whatever, 10 to 36. 36 for the oil lines on the air-cooled Porsche. These are the factory ones, and I do use these. These are the Geodors, which is the factory tools. I do use the factory 36, 32s. However, a lot of times those lines are super tight, and to get them off, instead of using a jack handle, I grab my big snap-on wrenches. Ignition wrenches, little small guys, down to I think 2.5 mil. Hardly ever use those. Mid-length. And then another distributor wrench here. This one's really good for 930s to get down behind, under the intercooler, down behind to grab this is about the perfect offset for that. What else we got in here? This is a recent pickup for me. I just started using these. These are the 0 degree offset ratchets. These I don't use them a ton, but when I do, I'm grateful to have them. 993, the center, the bolt on the 993, or sorry, 964 for the transmission cross member. This gets it perfect, which is always that's a bitch of a bolt to get to. And then 32, 30 offset for the oil lines, like we just talked about. This is for the adapter. It's a perfect offset. It's 1/2 inch. Those things are tight. Breaks them right loose. And then these are my my standard wrenches. You know, all the way up from, I think that's 1/4, all the way up to 1.5 inches. All right, so ratchets, extensions. I mean, everybody's seen ratchets and extensions, right? So this is 3/8 flex. I'm a fixed head guy. I prefer fixed head, but I do have the flex. I don't use them a ton. Nothing really special in here. This is, I actually use this a lot. So this is just, you know, you can put an extension in here. You can put an extension in here. You can go a couple different ways, but 997 turbo spark plug. You got to remove the turbo theoretically to get the spark plugs out, but not if you have this. So you can grab this, and then you can grab this here to get into your spark plug, and you can grab this on a wobble, come down here, and you can grab this on a ratchet, and you can get back in there and bust that spark plug loose. Once you get spark plug loose, you can thumb wheel it out, but there's no way to get anything that I found other than that in there. So that's a super handy piece of kit. Saves you at least 2 hours on spark plugs on those cars. So that's super handy to have. And then I'm a big fan of these offsets. You know, you can use it as a speed wrench. So I'm a big fan of those. And then I love this. This is my long quarter with a 3/8 head in it. I love that. Round tooth. This is funny. So before putting quarters and 3/8 were a thing, this is really old. This is probably my first snap-on 3/8 ratchet, and I put a quarter head in it. But you can see I don't ever use this anymore. You know, now the stuff they have nowadays is so fine versus this, but no way I'm giving that up. That's old school. So I used to take these and cut them. I got a couple more around here somewhere that I used to take and cut, and I would cut the ends off, polish them down. Yeah, for those little tight spots. So like something I would use this on, 993. So 993, you get in there with this bent. This is my most used ratchet by far. You get in there with this bent one, break the spark plug loose, pop that guy off, and then you get down in there with this little micro guy and spin it off. It's fantastic. So this is the 3/8 side, tech angle. I'm a click guy. I'm a fixed head click guy. I think it's faster to use a fixed head than a tech angle, but I do have them because I do a ton of angle. But I just think I think it's faster. This OG is probably one of my first snap-on ratchets back in the day. Don't use it a ton anymore. Old school, you can tell they're old because of the red cases. Old school, this is Wobble. I hate Wobble Plus. The reason I hate Wobble Plus, I had got some, but the problem with the Wobble Plus is whenever I need a wobble, I'm deep down inside something. So, you know, you're down in here doing something like this, and the problem with the Wobble Plus is if you have any kind of force, it goes fixed. So you lose the wobble. So I got both regular and just regular wobbles. Quarter. These, I get made a lot of fun from different technicians for these. These are the adjustable ones. But I'm gonna tell you something right now. If you take on like old air cooled, like a 964 or maybe an older SC car, and you're trying to get the rear shocks out, if you take this guy on a swivel, which is a 13, and a short extension is not long enough, and a long extension, there's no possible way you can get the right size extension in there. But you can take that and you can put your 3/8 guy on here, and you can just get that adjusted to the right size that you need, pop it back up, bust it loose. You'll save 15 minutes per side just by these adjustable extensions. So I don't use the long one, but I use this one a ton. It was kind of a novelty impulse buy until I started to understand the application, and then I use it a ton. These are cool. These are the original, the first 100 tooth ratchets. These have been out for a while. I don't use the 3/8 one as much as I probably should. However, I do use the quarter drive ones and the 3/8 drive ones a ton. So like this is the 3/8 one, round head. I use this a lot. And then this is the quarter drive one. You see they're all worn out from switching, but I use those a lot. I'm not a Matco guy, however, I will say I do have this for tight access, and I'm not a fan of their ratchet mechanism. I'm just not a fan of it. I think the snap-on one is much smoother. However, the head difference is huge. When you're in some super tight access space, that head difference makes, so I have one Matco ratchet in quarter drive just for tight access. What else? 1/2 inch tech angle, 1/2 inch flex, 1/2 inch fix. These are great. I love these things. 1/2 inch on one end, 3/8 on the other. Bell housing stuff, 1/2 inch breaker bar. It's all pretty standard stuff. Tight access. These are great. All the other, and this is another thing, if you're air-cooled Porsche tech, this is a must-have. Mac tools. I never use a 3/8. It was a BOGO, buy one, get one free. I picked it up. I never use the 3/8, but this quarter one, I use a ton. Bumper bolts. So you're trying to get some of the 964, 993, stuff like that. You throw the bumper bolts in here, throw your pneumatic on here, or I use my cordless ratchet. You can get it up, around, and behind. Throw your Phillips head on that end. You can have a bumper off in 2-3 minutes versus the older way of trying to get up in there with swivels, and it was just a pain in the ass. So this is invaluable in my humble opinion. This is quarter. I love this, especially air-cooled Porsche for the alternators. If you get this thing in down here and you put a mid-length or a long 10 mil, it's their speed handle. So you can rotate this around. Now I can't rotate it, but here we go. But anyways, this is the perfect angle bend here. So you can get in here and get that alternator fan loose. It's about the only way I found. This goes in under the engine tin behind it, and then you can just rotate that out and get that alternator. Super useful. Use these a ton. I got 2 of them because this is my original one here. And the pin came out. The pin came out of this side. Snap-on guy wanted a warranty, but I was like NFW because it's got the old Snap-on logo. So this is the GAX5. I think it's still the same part number, is it? Let's see, GAX5. Yeah, it is, but this is the old school original. I had to keep it. So these are 3/8 on one side, 1/2 on the other side. Throw the big gun on it. It's great. Short tech angle, 1/2 inch extensions, carburetor tools. So these things, I actually use this a lot more than you would think. These are great. So it's got a bent angle on one, you hold the center, and then that spins inside. So what these are great for is T-motors, some of the older carburetor stuff, but even into the newer cars, like into the 90s, these are great for idle screws. I mean, you can get this thing down inside. There's no access, and they work fantastic. You just throw a socket on one end, get it in there, rotate that over, set your idle screws. It saves a ton of time and aggravation. So this is the old Snap-on carburetor adjusters. So they work invaluable. And then I got, these are for mechanical fuel injection. These are the adjusters for the mechanical fuel injection through the fan. Those are all the factory tools. That's pretty much it for ratchets. My old school speed handle, retired. It's buried back there. Last drawer in a big box. This is all metric. Quarter drive is over here. This is all quarter drive. So I've got swivels, and then I've got these are money. I love these things. These are the tight access. So you throw them on the little ratchet here. Look at how small that is. Look how low profile that is. It's fantastic. So I got a couple different sets of these. I've got the through 16 of those, and then I have the little inverted Torx ones as well. So this is the Torx version. These work great for spark plugs to get the T40s, or not the T40s, but I think they're E10s or E8s, I can't remember. To get the E10s or E8s off the spark plugs, the boots, and also to get the heat shields off. So if you're a Porsche guy, new water cooled guy, that's the set to get. I'm gonna tell you right now, they save you a ton of time. And then 12 point, and then short, medium, deep, 6 and 12, whatever, all standard stuff. Another thing you're going to use a ton on Porsche is the long Allens. I warranty these out at least every year. It's funny because coworker has the Mac version of these, and they strip, you know, on the long ones they strip out, and they won't get loose, the exhaust studs, but Snap-on ones have never failed me. And I'm always honest when I say I don't use stuff, but these I don't use turbo twist sockets. I use, so these are the 0.2 from 6 to 10. I have used the 10s obviously because they're pretty worn out. I've used the 10s to get some of, you know, I use the FDX before these, but if you got one that's really, you know, messed up and rounded out, I do use these. You know, but very, very rarely. That's more one of those things where if you've got it and you got a bolt that's messed up, you're grateful. This is another thing I don't use so much anymore. I used to do a lot of AN stuff. Bulkheads. These are the weatherhead sockets. So if you've got a brass fitting, you know, you can use them on. I use them on the bulkhead, the through bulkheads on the brakes. You know, old air-cooled Porsches. This is the correct tool to go in here instead of getting in there with an open end or a adjustable. These will go over the brass fitting and hold it in place and or torque it down. So those are called weatherhead sockets. So flips, I don't use my flips. I did have these. I don't know why I bought them, but I just never use them. These are the 2019s. I use these as a wheel socket. It necks down, it's got a thinner profile. I never use these flips, so somehow I have them. But what I did do is I took one of the flip sockets, because these are great. You can put a 1/2 inch on this end, and I welded on a nut, and this is for air-cooled Porsche to get the gas tank drain out of the metal gas tanks. So you can just throw an extension on here through the other side, because it's a flip socket, unscrew it. That's what I use for that. And old antenna sockets for the older cars, I don't use those a ton. Triple square, use the shit out of these things. This is factory so this is old 80s cars and into the 90s cars, the old, how do you call them? The tamper-proof. So this is for the airbag control units as well as the ignition switches. That's the factory tool to remove and replace those fasteners. You need this. That's something that you have to have. Swivels, got the triple squares. You know, this is for Cayenne brakes. And those are for the, they use a ton of triple squares on German cars. I have no idea why this has a hole in it. If somebody can tell me why that has a hole in it, I have no idea. But this one's got a hole in it. Probably some fastener somewhere. Oil filters, spinners. So this is, the way I have this laid out, this is 1/2 inch from, you know, right to left. This is 1/2 inch, so that's whatever that is, 10 or 8 or whatever it is, to 36, and then back down in shallow. Axles, this is one I made. I had to buy 2 Snap-on. This is a Mac or a Matco. I think this is a Matco 30. This is a Snap-on 30. And then I had to cut them, machine them down, and put them back together, and then weld it to get a deep offset for, this is 997 Cup car, to get the rear axle stubs out. So you need a super deep, because of the center lock, you need a super deep, you know, broach. I think that's called a broach, before it necks down into the meat of the socket. So I had to make that. So then we got 1/2 inch 12 point metric, ran out of money when I got down to that one. I just got to give my Snap-on guy to get them to me. And then this is the 6-point. I got up to 24 and I got to fill it up to 32. You have to have these. These are for cylinder head temp. So these two are for cylinder head temp sensors. Some of them are 14, some of them are 13. So this is the only thing I've ever found that gets in there and gets the 14s off. And then the 13s, this one's good. This is, what part number is this? EMS MT 3813. And then this is ANM 14. So these are the two for cylinder head temps. You gotta have those. And then 27, 24 for pressure, or for pressure sensors, but I actually use this 20, or the 27, I guess I should say. I actually use the 27s and the 24s. This is for, I use these for the idler control valves, and then the 24 I use for the air-cooled fans. And I go through the, how do you call it, tongue-tied here. I go through the opening for the trunk release, and I use that to get the fan, the nuts for the fan off. There's another thing you got to have, line wrenches. So the 12 millimeter line wrench here, this goes down to get the, on CIS cars, you can get in here with a wobble extension on this to bust open the factory fuel lines. Got to have that. Spark plugs. I wish we go back in the day where we had one spark plug socket, but now you need about 100 different ones. This is the factory one. This is the Hatset. I think it's Hatset. Yeah, it's this Hatset 880 MGT. So this is discontinued. They don't make this anymore. 13/16, and you need this because, like the Snap-on one, it's the same all the way up. So on the old 13/16 spark plugs, if you're trying to use this one, it hits the cylinder head nut. So you need the one that necks down to get the 13/16. So they superseded this, and now it's half drive. Why anybody would need half drive on a spark plug socket, I have no idea. But this is the discontinued 3/8 one, magnetic. It's fantastic. And then these are the newer water-cooled 12 points. So now all of a sudden you need a ton of spark plugs, and then swivels and reducers, and 3/4 down to half and quarter up. And then here I have a brake here, so I know that's 13. And then I do a brake, so that's 13, 15, 17, 19. And then I have the super low profile ones. These work fantastic in really tight spaces. So versus a traditional shallow socket, these are the ultra shallows. These work fantastic. I don't use these a ton, but in some of these tight access, places on these newer cars, you gotta have tight access stuff. Then we got Torx all the way up to T60, shallow all the way up to T60. Porsche alignment, I think this is a 12, that's a 10. So 12 millimeter, this is the only one that I've found that will get in on an air-cooled Porsche for the rear toe alignment. So the rear toe alignment is buried behind the sway bar link. So instead of taking the anti-roll bar out and then taking the whole sway bar link, you can get this, get it on a wobble, 30-degree wobble, and you can get this in there, and that's the only thing I found that will gain tight access and do alignment. Saves a ton of time. Then we got, you gotta have these. These are especially this T40. This is a tamper-proof one, but you don't need it to be tamper-proof. But the T40 to get the newer cars are T40 Torx to get the ignition coils off. The older ones are 3/8, or E8, which is this one. So you need both of these swivels to get ignition coils off. Saves a ton of aggravation and time. 19 millimeter for twisted lug nuts, or if you don't have a wheel socket key, drag link socket, file that down. So the older air-cooled Porsches, for the oil pressure relief, it's a coin slot fastener, which traditionally would have a dip right, or a convex shape here, and I just take the biggest straggling socket Snap-on has and I file it down, and it gets in there perfect. It doesn't mess the fastener up getting it off. What else we got? Oh, so we talked about Torx, and then I got quarter Torx, tamper-proof Torx, shallows, and then I got the 3/8 shallow, whatever that is, 8. Don't ever use that 8, all the way up to 27. Use a 27. Snap-on, not everything they make is good. These things, the magnetic sockets, these things are garbage. There's not enough magnet to hold on to a fastener. So, like, you can put a fastener and it falls right out. So these are absolute trash for magnetic sockets. However, I do have, I think these are Amazon specials. These are Sunex. These magnets are fantastic. So I use like the 10 and the 13 is the only thing I use out of this set, but that's about the only thing in here not Snap-on except for this. So we've got 718 into the GT4s. So the oil filter is buried up against the firewall, and the only thing I found to get it off is this 22 low profile. So the firewall is like right here. So this is the only 22 low profile swivel I found. This is Mac. Part number is XMU22-6. This is the only one I found. And then you throw a big, long 3-foot extension on there. You're able to get that oil filter off. And if you got a better way of doing it, please tell me, because that's about the only thing I found. So this is 3/8 swivels, chrome, impact, whatever that is, 6 to 19, and then or 8 to 19, and then 8 to 24 that way. And then we have all of the inverted Torxes all the way down to, I think, what size is this? 4 millimeter, I think. I've never seen a 4 millimeter E-Torx. Probably exists somewhere. And then we already talked about the super low profile. And then I got 3/8 shallow, 12 point, and then into the RBRT stuff. So this is RBRT Hex, Mac. I can't say enough about them. They're absolutely fantastic. Their regular standard stuff, their regular Allens are garbage, but these things grip on anything. So this stuff right here is RBRT and FDX for a lot of that stuff. I'm gonna use a ton of it. Well, when you need it, you need it. And then Allens, I've got the mid-length, and then I got the stubbies, and I got the Star Willie. I love the Star Willie little quarter Allens. These things are fantastic. That's my go-to for stubby Allens. And then balls, I use a ton. I use these a ton, like the 6s and the 8s for axles. Pop it on your 3/8 gun. You can get right behind the boot, spin those guys out. That's another great must-have for Porsche guys. And the FDX, this isn't a daily grab. This is the only mid-length I have in 3/8. Daily grab is this stuff, but sometimes you get, if you got a fastener that's starting to round off, these FDXs really work well. So I have the full set, 3/8, as well as quarter in the FDXs. Oil filters, 32, and then the flip style, 26 to 20, or 24 to 36 flip. Those are for the oil filters. What else we got? Once again, RBRT. This is the Advanced Star RBRT on a ball end, which is really cool. And these actually work. I didn't think that they would work, but these actually work really well. I'm super impressed with those. 3/4 torque wrench, or 3/4 breaker bar on a ratchet, just because I have nowhere else to put it. And what else in here? So then these things, this is really cool. This is a 12 or 13. This is a 13. So this is the 12, and if you notice here, the broach is just in a little bit more. So injectors, air-cooled injectors are 12 millimeter. And I don't know if you guys have ever tried to take the injection system out of that car, but if you don't have that and you don't have this, you're taking a little wrench and you're going half of a flat at a time to get those injectors out. This thing fits in there perfect. It's the right height. So you just basically take your, you know, your ratchet, throw it in there, little tiny extension, and you can bust all those injectors out in no time flat, except for cylinder number 1. And cylinder number 1, you got to use the line wrench. So can't say enough about this. This is part number STMML13A. Trust me, buy that. It's well worth the money. This is the factory tool to get ball joints out of the air-cooled cars in the front. And then these are the alignment eccentrics. So this is 964, 993 front eccentric for camber, 964, 968 rear. No, this is 968, 944 rear eccentric for toe. What else we got in here? Oh, we got cylinder heads. These are fantastic. Cylinder head studs. So these work great on the air-cooled ones. They won't work on an ARP, but on the factory ones, it's the perfect thing. Throw these on a 1/2-inch gun, bust those guys out. They work great. And then this is another thing, if you're any kind of German guy, these things are fantastic. So these are they're 3/8 impact, 360-degree wobbles, but I hardly ever use that set I just picked up, but these old school ones, so this is a FX LM 13 and 10, super shallow, dirty, I gotta clean those. Super shallow, tight access, so think of like if you're coming deep down inside here and you gotta get that guy, and it's 360-degree swivel, engine tins, something else. I've worn these out so much. They don't make them anymore. And then they just came out with this impact rated one, same sort of concept. This was just released, I don't know, a year or two ago. It's super long. It works good, but these are the old trusty, old faithfuls. You gotta have those. So that's it for the roll cart. I do have some more stuff over here. I got my Triton D10. Fantastic 2-channel oscilloscope. I use that a lot with pocket U scope. Between this and the Autel Maxim, I think this is a Maxis or Maxim. Between this and the Autel, I can get most of my programming and stuff done on the newer cars. And then this is my go-to grab for, you know, guided component testing, pressure waveforms. I'm huge on oscilloscopes. Oscilloscope is my most used tool. So that's that. And then up here is my 3/4-inch torque wrench for Porsche center locks and my carbon stuff. So I know there's gonna be a lot of people that say, you don't need half that stuff. You're right, I don't need half of it. However, we tell our technicians 15 minutes an hour. So if you make 15 minutes more an hour of time over the course of the year, it's like, you know, average technician, a master tech, an A-tech technician is gonna make 60, 62 bucks an hour. So if you do that and you work 15 minutes more an hour, every single hour over the course of 2,000 hours for the year, we tell our technicians all the time, 15 minutes an hour, the first 7.5 minutes is pace. So walk with a sense of purpose, work with a sense of purpose. Don't talk to this guy. Don't talk to service advisors. Call them on your desk phone, whatever. That's your first 7 minutes, which is free and just pace. And the next 7 minutes is tooling. So, you know, that's 30 grand, $32,000 or whatever that is per year more that you can make with the right tooling and pace. So I would say in this box, I don't even know what I have in the box and all the tooling and stuff, plus all my other stuff. It's a big number, but you're positive cash in 3-4 years just based on 15 minutes an hour. So for me, having the right tool for the job, as well as keeping them clean. I'm super anal. Everything has to be clean. I wipe my tools down every single day. A lot of this stuff is very old, but it looks brand new. So invest in your kit, keep your kit clean. You know, we work on high-end stuff and people appreciate that. So thanks for watching.